Do you ever struggle as a parent in knowing how to parent your children? How would you like to learn the one technique that can change everything in your parenting effectiveness? Today, I'm going to teach you the one technique that will revolutionize your ability to be a parent. So now let's get into the one technique that can change everything for you as a parent. It sounds very simple, but this is it. It's parenting a specific task. Usually when we're parenting a child, we're addressing a lot of things, but there's some things that we address over and over and over again. It could be pick up your clothes, pick up your clothes, pick up your clothes, pick up your clothes. Could be other things. Do your homework, do your homework. It's time to do your homework. Usually at each stage, there's one task you can pick out that really needs to be addressed that they're cycling through over and over again. This one technique is that you need to be prepared to parent one task, to give them a task. Let me give you an example and then we'll break it down. Let's just pretend that your child plays with lots of toys and they just leave them out. And I'm talking about as they get a little bit older than a toddler. And they're very much capable of picking up their toys after they're finished playing. And that becomes a recurring problem every day. Pick up your toys, pick up your toys, pick up your toys, pick up. And you're tired of saying it, you're frustrated, and then you lose your temper, pick up your toys. Look, you take that one task and you come up with a plan. And you tell the child, listen, when I say it's time to pick up your toys, you can pick up the toys now, or you can pick it up in a little while. You have a choice, but it has to be done within these 30 minutes. I set a timer. And once it hits 30 minutes, the timer hits 30 minutes. If the toys aren't picked up, I pick up the toys and the toy goes into the toy dungeon. And what that means is if your toy goes into the toy dungeon, you no longer own that toy. You can't play with it and it's mine until you buy it back. And how do you buy it back? You can use some of your allowance to buy it back, or you can do some extra chores that I'll give you and I'll pay you to do, and then you can buy it back. Now, once you set the rules on the one task that you're going to teach them, then you look for the opportunity to give them a task. Perhaps it's that evening. And you say, okay, it's time to pick up your toys. Here's the timer. I turn it on. You have 30 minutes. You can pick them up now and put them away, or you can wait a little while longer, but once it hits 30 minutes, if they're still out, I will pick them up and they go into the toy dungeon. So after you give them the task, you give them the rules, they know it, you call them, you start it. The second part of this technique is you have to hope, in a sense, that they mess up or blow it. What do you mean? Yeah, you become detached enough to where you just let them mess up. Don't remind them, just hoping that they're going to mess up so that you can take them through the process. They need to own responsibility of the task, not you. If you own the responsibility of the task, they won't have to. So the second step is hope that they mess up or blow it. And then once they do, 30 minutes hits, they got 4 toys on the ground. You go ahead and pick them up and put them in the toy dungeon. And then you allow the consequence to do the teaching. It's not you being the bad guy, it's the rule being the bad guy because you already went over the rule, the consequence with them. And at that point, you can become understanding, empathic, you can become caring. You know, Johnny, I know how much you love and enjoy playing with your Legos. I'm sorry your Legos are in the toy dungeon. Maybe we can work together to find you a chore to do to buy it back. You can be understanding, you can be compassionate. You have to be firm and hold to the rule, follow through on the consequence, and then have compassion for them. That's step 3. Allow the consequence to do the teaching. And then step 4 would be to give them the same task again the next day. It's like you just work on this one task, and you have to allow them to go through the process and encourage them to think through the process, to have a consequence. And I promise you, it will change. It will change. There'll come a day soon that you say it's time to pick up their toys and they go do it right away, even if they have attention issues. They'll remember what happens. I heard a wonderful story of a woman talking about her fifth grade child who every day they're fighting about homework. They're fighting, it's time to do homework. I don't want to do homework. Can I do it later? No, yes, it's going on and on. Finally, she started to think through this process with this parenting a task issue. And she thought about the consequences. And so she changed her whole attitude. And she told her daughter, she said, honey, I'm not going to ever tell you again that you have to do your homework because I've already been through fifth grade and it's really your responsibility. And the daughter's looking at her like, are you crazy? What's this? What's going on here? And she said, you're responsible to do the homework. And I know how much Miss Smith means to you, your teacher, and I know how disappointed she would be if you didn't do your homework, you chose not to. And if you continue to choose not to do your homework, I know that next year when you have to repeat fifth grade again, you'll be able to find lots of friends because you're really very friendly and you'll be able to make new friends. And then she kind of walked out the room. What did she do? She turned over the responsibility of the homework from being hers to her daughter's, because at that age, her daughter could take on the responsibility of doing it. And her daughter turned and said, I didn't say I wasn't going to do it. I just don't feel like doing it right now. And so she let it go. But the report of this parent was that she's never had to tell her she needed to do homework again. She's 15, 16 years old now, so it's many years later. But just imagine, she changed, she applied this parenting a task, thinking through it, applied this one technique. It changed everything, and it went from a daily battle to all of a sudden, it was over. So what is the one technique that changed everything? I'll just repeat the 4 steps. Number 1, you give them a task, a specific task. You set up the natural consequences that go with it. You clearly explain it to the child. Number 2, you hope that they mess up or blow it. They need to own responsibility, and they own it when you allow them to get the natural consequences of their behavior. Number 3 is to allow the consequences to do the teaching. Remember, you need to be firm and compassionate, so you need to hold them to it. And number 4, you repeat the task, perhaps the next day as soon as you can, so that they can cycle through the process again. And I promise you, they will get it. So I want you to try that one technique so it'll change everything for you. And I want you to let us know how it works for you and how it works for your ADHD child. I want to give you a recommended resource if you want to go deeper into parenting, or also really a greater explanation than I gave about this one technique. It's from this book called Parenting with Love and Logic by Foster Cline and Jim Fay. I have a link in the description for you. You can go there now and get that book. I'd really recommend this book as a parent, and then I'll know it will help you become a more effective parent. We also did a video recently on parenting, how to get your kids to listen without yelling. Look, we all get frustrated, we all lose our temper, but it's so key not to become our child's stimulant and to learn to correct without losing our temper and yelling. If you'd like to learn how to do that, I'd encourage you to click on this video now, and we will see you in the next video.